Hey guys, this is Silverpaw Reads here, and I just wanted to apologize for my delay in reading stories. Senior has been kicking my ass so far, and I have just had absolutely no free time to sit down and read. But anyways, here we are with part 1 of chapter 10, Spike, by whatever the heck the author's name is. I'm too lazy to actually find out where it is. Anyways, let's go. Saunders looked at himself in the mirror and let out a sigh. In his mind, he replayed what Terrence had told him on the phone before he hung up. "Put on something nice, Pete. You'll see why at the pub." Saunders gave up. He didn't have any clothes fit for special occasions or anything at all that looked nice. All he had was tartan shirts in red or blue, shirts with band names on them, and most of his jeans were worn or had holes on the knees. He'd just gotten out of the shower and only had a towel wrapped around his waist. So nervous about what to wear, he hadn't even decided what color boxers to put on. "Oh, man," he moaned, realizing this wasn't something he could do on his own. He needed someone who could give him good advice. When it came to clothes, he quickly got on a pair of black boxers and the jeans he wore previously that day and went out of the bathroom. Walking into the living room, Saunders was met by the look of two boys sitting on the couch, playing poker. "Hey, kids." He smiled at both of them, then turned to his son, nervously scratching the back of his neck. Sam? I need your advice on something." "Sure, what is it?" Sam smiled, finding it somewhat amusing and a bit cute how his father came to him for advice. "I'm going out tonight. Terrence invited me to the pub and he told me to wear something nice. Thing is, I don't have anything nice." Saunders looked a little embarrassed about it. Spike put down his cards and carefully glanced up at Saunders while he was busy talking to his son. He carefully looked at Saunders' shirtless torso. Spike often found himself staring at the bodies of other men, comparing himself to them. Whether they were strong, fat, skinny, Spike always ended up being jealous of them and felt even more down about his own body. Everyone looked better than him. So for the first time seeing Saunders shirtless, he closely but cautiously eyed his torso and compared it with his own body. Saunders was slim, though not one you would categorize as thin or skinny. He didn't have a six-pack or a stomach of one who took many sit-ups. Spike knew very well that Saunders never worked out. Even so, he had an as good as flat belly and looked strong. He looked good. One thing Spike liked particularly about Saunders was how his chest wasn't covered in hair. Spike had started to find hairy men somewhat revolting, as his uncle was covered in white, curly hair. But Saunders only had a little fuzz on his chest, suitable and probably normal for someone his age. How old was he anyways? 25? Spike had always wondered, but never dared to ask. However, he found him to look surprisingly young to be a father of a teenager. If Spike hadn't known Sam and his father but randomly passed them on the street, he probably would have thought they were brothers. Spike gave Saunders' torso another brief look and felt like sighing. Even though Saunders wasn't very muscular, Spike envied his good looks. "So if I were you, Dad, I wouldn't wear, like, your Led Zeppelin t-shirt in case Terrence is planning on introducing you to someone." "Yeah, you're right," Saunders chuckled. Then he turned to Spike, noticing he was looking at him, and asked just to include him, "What do you think, Spike?" Spike blinked, a bit surprised by having been asked such a question, and tried not to blush at having been caught staring. He began trying to think of something. "I don't know, maybe if you put on a black shirt, that's kind of neutral and sophisticated, isn't it?" Sam looked a bit wide-eyed at him, wondering when Spike all of a sudden had started to know stuff about clothing. Saunders thought about it and smiled, pleased. "Yeah, I guess you're right, a black shirt would be pretty nice." "Dad, the only black clothes you have are t-shirts," Sam reminded of him. "I know, but I actually think I have a black shirt from the day we went to court, you know?" Saunders said, optimistic. "That was years ago. Do you think it's still gonna fit?" Sam said, unsure. "I'll see if I can find it and try it on." Saunders smiled cheerful and walked towards his room to see if he could dig out some forgotten clothes from the past. Spike looked at Sam and spoke to him before he got the chance to pick up his cards again. "Have you guys been to court?" he asked, surprised. "Well, yeah, once when I was 4, Sam replied, hesitant. "Why?" Spike asked. Sam exhaled. "It's nothing, really," he smiled simply. "Did your dad get into some kind of trouble?" Spike asked, curious. "Oh, no," Sam swore. "It was just something about my mom." "Well, what about her? You never really told me about her, come to think of it." Spike leaned a bit back on the couch and looked patiently at Sam. "Well, yeah, because there's not much to tell about her, quite honestly. She left when I was 4, and then she came back about after a year and said she wanted custody. Dad didn't let her because she thought she was unfit to take care of me, especially since she'd left us and told us she didn't want anything to do with me. So she sued Dad, and we had to go to court, which I don't remember much of it, but the end of the story is that Dad won the case and Mom left us for good." Sam paused. "Oh, I'm sad to hear she was like that. But it's a good thing your dad won the case, isn't it?" Spike asked, attempting to comfort Sam somehow. Yeah, it is. I'm really lucky to have him with me. Sam smiled wide. Then his smile faded. I feel sorry for him, though. He really loved her despite how she was kind of mean, and he was angry at her for spending every night partying instead of helping him look after me. When she finally left, it broke his heart. He hasn't been on a single date since. But I'm guessing Terrence has found someone for him tonight. Aren't you scared of him finding you a new mom? Spike asked. Terrified, Sam admitted, but he's done so much to me. And he's my dad. I want him to be happy. If you find someone who can make him happy, well, I guess I'm fine with it. Sam shrugged. Spike jerked a teeny smile. He knows Sam well enough to know that, truth be told, Sam didn't want to share his father with anyone and could be deadly jealous, which was probably one of the reasons why Saunders hadn't felt like meeting other women yet. Worried that Sam wouldn't approve of it, and that Sam wouldn't like her, so hearing this from Sam indicated that he'd grown a lot, and it was nice to hear he'd started seeing things from a different perspective. Besides, Sam then whispered, Dad often does horrible at dates, so I have my doubts that he'll find a new mom for me tonight. Spike sighed. So much for Sam having grown a lot. Obviously, he still didn't feel quite like sharing his father with anyone. Saunders came back into the living room and looked rather down. You were right, Sam. It didn't fit anymore. It's so form-fitting now. You look gay in it. Oh, why not go for your own look then? Sam suggested. Just wear the nicest looking shirt of the ones you got, and a pair of jeans that doesn't have holes in it. Tuck your shirt in and come as you are. How about that? Nice Nirvana reference. Yeah, okay, Saunders said, not quite convinced that it would work, but agreed to give it a try. I won't tuck my shirt in, though. I'm not 30 just yet. Thirsty, fuck. Sam chuckled. Do as you wish. Saunders smiled and went back to the bathroom. And for heaven's sake, comb your hair, Sam called after him and smiled. Saunders just laughed and ruffled his hair, which was hanging loose, not yet having been put up into a ponytail. 15 minutes later, Sam and Spike were done playing poker, and Saunders finally came out of the bathroom for the final time. He smelled nicely, and his hair was back to normal again, meaning he had his blonde bangs hanging down on each side of his face, and the rest of his hair pulled back into a short ponytail. His goatee had been trimmed ever so slightly, and there was a nervous smile on his face. Nervous? Sam asked as he noticed the smile. Yeah, Saunders admitted. So, how do I look? Sam looked at his father. He had a red tartan shirt on, buttoned but not tucked in. It was one of those new ones. He hadn't yet gotten the chance to get wrinkly, so it looked pretty nice, but not too formal. His jeans didn't have holes in them, but had worn ends from having been stepped on when he walked. And he was most likely going to be wearing his Converses, the only pair of shoes he had. Altogether, he looked average. You look like yourself, only a bit cleaner, sort of. Cleaner? Saunders repeated until his head in a questioning manner. You're a very hygienic man, yes, but for once you actually look like it, if you know what I mean. Spike decided to help Sam out and spoke his mind. You look nicer, if I may say so myself. If you're introduced to a girl, she'll know that what she sees is what she gets, and she won't have to pretend like you're someone else to impress her. Besides, you're only going to the pub, right? Not some fancy restaurant. You don't have to worry about a thing. They both looked at Spike and blinked. Then Saunders exhaled in relief and smiled at Spike. Thanks, man. You're right. I feel so much more comfortable just being myself. Good luck, sir, Spike said quickly to hide his embarrassment from having given someone a compliment and for having said so much. Also from having been looked at like some mute person who suddenly uttered his first words. Yeah, good luck, Dad, Sam said too and smiled. Thanks, Saunders smiled back. The sound of a car was soon to be heard, and Saunders quickly figured it was Terrence who'd come to pick him up. He got his shoes and jacket and opened the door, ready to leave. Well, you boys have a good night, he called from out in the entrance hall. Sam, there's newly washed beddings in your dry cleaner. Spike wants us to stay over. I'll bring the keys, so just lock the door before you go to bed, okay? Oh, and there's 2 pizzas in the freezer if you get hungry. Don't smoke. If I'm late, I'll give you a call. Have fun. See ya. He smiled at them before putting on a jacket and looking both nervous and excited. Bye, Dad, Sam called after him, but Saunders was already out the door. Sam smiled a little. Poor Dad, he's like a kid going to the first day of school. Speaking of school, Spike started, isn't it odd that Marco didn't show up today? Yeah, I know. You don't think he's afraid of us. I mean, not that would have been such a relief. No, I reckon there's a different reason why he didn't show up, Spike said. Maybe his parents let him stay home because of his leg? It's not like it's broken or anything, Sam reminded him. Well, whatever. You up for another round of poker? Count me in.